So over the past 3 days, I rewatched all 8 Harry Potter films, and I've been wanting to talk about Harry Potter and make Harry Potter videos for a while now, but I always need like an excuse to make a video. That's just kind of how I am. And tomorrow, more like in 5 hours, I'm leaving for California. Yes, I still need to sleep, but you can see my suitcase right beside my cat back here. But I wanted to film this video. This video will go out as I'm in California, but this is going to be one of the biggest videos I've done because I'm going to rank basically as many Harry Potter characters as I can. There's some here and there you'll see on the list that I'll be like, oh yeah, this guy, yeah, he's fine, whatever, stuff like that. But I'm going to be talking about a lot of characters here, so I'm not really sure how long this video will be, but I wanted to do something for it, and I find that my ranking of the films always change, so I didn't want to do that right now, but maybe in the future. But right up here, I have the tier list. As you can see, there's a lot of characters on there. I have the non-applicable part because there are a bunch of characters in here that were on this list, even some big ones, like Hedwig and stuff like that, characters that you see here and there, but ones that I don't think I could speak on enough, or I would say 2 words about. So it's stuff like that. Or there's also some repeats here, so if you see that, I might catch it during the video. But some of these you'll be, why aren't you talking about this character? Why aren't you talking about this character? Why is Tom Riddle in there? It's like, I'm talking about Voldemort, don't worry. But anyway, let's get into it. I am just doing this in the order that it is on here. This is just some random person's tier list, but I will link the one that I do down below. So this is just personal preference. There might be spoilers for the movies if somehow you haven't seen them, and I am only referencing the 8 Harry Potter films, not the Fantastic Beasts films, for a reason. But anyway, we have an interesting start here. We go with Moaning Myrtle, who is a good, I'd say okay character. I mean, she really is kind of between these two, but I do find it interesting how her story connects to Tom Riddle and everything in the Chamber of Secrets, and then she's back in Goblet of Fire. There's stuff like that. So she's a pretty good, pretty decent character. She's not super important, but she does have her standout moments. And then we make a big jump up to McGonagall, who is just an absolute great, fantastic character, one of the best when it comes to the professors or the teachers at Hogwarts, one of everybody's favorite, one of my favorite performances of the entire franchise. I mean, McGonagall is just almost an icon right from her opening scene. You can tell she means business, but she does have a fun, joking side to her. We see that kind of progress throughout the films, and one of my favorite moments in all of Harry Potter is, I've always wanted to use that spell. So yeah, we have some satisfying moments with her here, but still, she's obviously one of the best, and I'd say for the audience, one of our favorites, because she's typically doing the right thing, if not always doing the right thing. And then we go to this character. I can never forget her name. She's here. There's a reason she's here. It leads to a nice thing for Hagrid. He gets some love in his life, I could say, but again, I don't even remember her name. It's Madame something. I don't even remember fully, so I think that says enough here. Then we go on to Crab, I think. And there's Crab and Goyle, and I think it's Crab, but if I'm wrong, I'm going to put it on the screen right now because I think it is Crab, who's a good character as well. Obviously, I'd put him above Myrtle, but I'm not going to do it in that whole kind of, I'm ranking them all here. Nope, he's a good character. Sort of as the films progress and it becomes less about them and other students and doesn't just narrow in on our main characters, he kind of gets pushed aside a bit, which makes sense, but there's highlight moments when really it's Harry and Ron and Chamber of Secrets, stuff like that. Seems like that's what we're talking about, and there are some moments in the later on films here and there where they stand out, but nothing too crazy. And then we jump up to Hermione, who is obviously going to go in the all-time favorite characters list. I didn't really explain this, but all-time just means one of my favorite characters of all time. Favorite means favorite of Harry Potter. Great, good, meh, not applicable. You can see how it is. Hermione really was one of my first favorite characters. She's just perfect. For everything, she has her moments of brilliance, which is in every single movie. She has moments where she's sad, angry, everything. Emma Watson, perfect performance when it comes to the character. I couldn't imagine anyone better playing her. It's one of those things where there's so many characters here that it's going to be hard to talk about all of them in depth, but obviously Hermione is one of the best characters of all time, and I've always thought that. Then we go on to one of the wackiest characters in Harry Potter, who is okay here. It is kind of weird to see these two on a different one, but actually, I'm going to move her up to good because of her moment in Order of the Phoenix. If it was just Prisoner of Azkaban, it'd go lower, but I am taking into account all the movies, so there is a nice kind of not nice emotional scene with her where she's almost forced to leave, and then Dumbledore brings her back. But she's a pretty good character, kind of lower end good, kind of like Moaning Myrtle, although probably a better character than Moaning Myrtle. Very fun, wacky performance, as I mentioned. So some fun moments here and there. One of those characters that you do remember, but not one of the best professors here. Then we go up to Ron's love interest in Half-Blood Prince. I forget her name. It's spoken sometime in it. I know I just watched it like yesterday, but still, she's there to be Ron's love interest in the movie, and that's about it. She doesn't really have anything else to her. She is in Deathly Hallows Part 2, I think it is, because she dies, which is, you see, you're like, oh, that's sad, the student died, but it's also her, so it's like, it's not that it makes it less sad, it's like, oh, there's a student dead, but it doesn't make you more sad that it's her, and I think that kind of describes her whole character. It adds a nice dynamic between some of the other characters in Half-Blood Prince, but nothing crazy. Then we have Dumbledore's brother, who comes into play really, really big in Deathly Hallows Part 2, as I stutter over my words here. He gets to go in the good characters. I know it is kind of weird seeing him next to three iconic characters like this, because sometimes I forget he's in the movie, but he plays a very vital role, and more that we know when we kind of backtrack. And, as I mentioned, he's the one that's really looking through that little piece of the mirror the whole time, that's kind of leading them and giving them moments and advice and everything that you could really say. So he, of course, is going to go on the good tier. And then next up we have this guy. I'm just going to call him Junior. Normally I would put him on the lower tier, but you have to take into account that he was playing Mad Eye the whole time, and that whole element of that movie is so good. And even watching it a million times, I've seen all these movies so many times, especially Goblet of Fire, and you see the little thing, and whatever you want to call it or consider, a little tongue flick here. Very cool character, very nice backstory with, the whole stuff with another character I'll talk about in a bit in Goblet of Fire. There's just some good moments here. Again, not one of the best. He really only has one movie to shine, and his character works better on a rewatch, but it's still quite interesting. And then we go up to Fleur, who I'm going to put, again, in good, but it feels like I should have something between the great and the good one. She is definitely a better character than these ones. She, one of the main characters in Goblet of Fire, and then comes back later on in the movies, but I enjoy every single time she's on screen, and I think she does really good. The actor is really amazing as well. Obviously, all the girls have a very iconic entrance, I could say. I mean, all the other ones do as well, that I will talk about in a bit, but she's the head of it. She's a really good character. She's better than all the rest of the ones from the school, that's for sure. And again, because she plays into later in the Deathly Hallows, it is nice to see her return. And then we go up to Luna Lovegood, who I'm going to put on favorite. So favorite of Harry Potter, I love Luna, and I've always loved Luna. There's like a small bit of me that like resonates with her for some reason, that always has, that she's kind of like this quirky, weird one. And I'm not saying, oh my god, I'm so quirky or whatever, but like there's just something really nice about her and her instant connection to Harry through seeing the things that only people who have seen death can see. I forget what the horse things are called. Big Harry Potter fan, yeah, can't you tell? But she's always been one of the best. I know she's a fan favorite. Just the way they introduce her, Hermione says Loony Lovegood. Oh, Luna, corrects herself. It's like right there as the films progress. We have her in Half-Blood Prince. We have all this stuff. And obviously she's one of my favorite Harry Potter characters. Then we have the horrid Umbridge, who it pains me to say great, because actually, you know what we're going to do? We're going to go like this. Yeah, it's hard to compare her to other characters because she is so evil. We're going to do that. Okay, you can't see that. Never mind, I take that back. Because she is so evil. She really is a character of her own that you will never forget. And that is in the best and worst way possible. The performance is so good, but so evil, and does horrific things to it, but like she's honestly up there with like the Hannibal Lecters and all that. I mean, terrible people, which you're like, oh yeah, she's a teacher. How could you compare to Hannibal Lecter? And then you watch it and you go, oh shit, yeah, no, she's awful. So performance is amazing. Umbridge as a character, very well written, but just so hateable. Then we have a bunch of professors here. We have Filch, who is a good character. He has his standout moments here and there. There's always something. One of my favorites is the running, and then we have him kind of more priority earlier on. But even in Deathly Hallows Part 2, there's like a scene where in the background he's like trying to sweep the debris of everything. So fun character there. Then we have Quirrell, who I've always liked, but compared to the other quote-unquote villains or even professors, he's definitely on the lower side. The only reason he's here is because of Voldemort, obviously, but even in his scenes before we know that, there feels like very much an absence of him, and he's another character that it works better on rewatch, kind of like this guy here. It works better when you know why he's there, because at first you're like, why do we care so much about this guy? So that's just my opinion, maybe an unpopular one. Next we go up to the real Mad-Eye Moody, who sadly has one of the most tragic stories I could say in this one, an off-screen death that still hits very hard, and some of the funniest lines in the entire franchise. Even though it's technically not him in Goblet of Fire, there's still a lot of great moments with the one that looks like him, and then obviously later on with The Order and Deathly Hallows Part 1. I mean, there's so many moments with Mad-Eye Moody, and he's one character that will never leave your mind for a multitude of reasons. Next up, we have the iconic Dumbledore, who of course is going to go on all time. He's up there with Gandalf. Always the comparison there. I'm not gonna make it besides that. And really the true kind of adult in Harry's life and most of these kids, the one that puts him in dangerous situations, but there's always a reason for it, and truly an inspiring person and character. There's so many quotes that I remember when I was younger were like really impacting me, and still to this day. I mean, for this specific Dumbledore, who obviously I believe is the far better one, but it's not really a fair comparison. His opening scene, the first scene with him, I don't know, it's just the opening scene. His first scene is the one about one remembers to turn on the light, which is one of the most iconic quotes in all of Harry Potter. So Dumbledore, all-timer, one of the saddest deaths ever put to screen here. Next up, we have this character. I can never remember her name and her friend. Really, I should put them together, which I'm pretty sure that's the same picture twice, which is not cool of the person who did this, unless I'm missing it somewhere there. But these two are they kind of, work together, and all their scenes are really together. It's hard to judge them as two different characters, even though they are photographed as the same character, which is, again, not good at all here. But they're good-ish characters. They play into Goblet of Fire. They have their moments in Order of the Phoenix when they're having the meeting at first. But again, they really, unfortunately, only exist to play off other characters, which is fine. I mean, you have characters like that in all these franchises, but that's why they get put in the good tier. I would say the bottom of the good tier, but the good tier. Next up, we have this guy. As you can see, it's a common thing where I don't remember the names because there are so many characters in Harry Potter that I always forget. But he has one of the fun lines. It's kind of creepy. The "hello, beautiful," or whatever. I'm pretty sure that's what he says exactly in Deathly Hallows. He's a good character, the leader of the scavengers, is that what they're called? It's just something that starts with an S, and the standout when it comes to those guys, but again, doesn't play a part really up until Deathly Hallows Part 1 and is really only in that movie, so he can go there. Next up, we have Lupin, who is obviously a favorite amongst most people, introduced as the Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher in my favorite Harry Potter movie as of right now, Prisoner of Azkaban, and then the way that his story matters. You can see my cat moving here. The way that his story matters and his character dynamic plays off into Sirius Black, into Snape, into Harry, and everybody. I mean, well, would we even have our main characters if it wasn't for him on the train stopping the Dementor? Think of it like that. Obviously, that's why he's going into the favorites here, and even later on in the films, he still has great moments in Deathly Hallows Part 1 where he's questioning Harry. I mean, there's so many moments. Next up, we have Colin. I'm pretty sure that's what his name is here. a very annoying character, but it makes sense why he's there, and that's about it. I mean, he's one of the ones that gets petrified, and that's it. Anyway, on to the next one. Madame Hooch, really, again, just a meta character, because I'm pretty sure she's only in the first one, or at least only in my head is in the first one, so, is important when it comes to Quidditch and everything, but after that, not so much. So good for what she does at the start there, but that's about it. Again, same for I think the nurse. I'm totally blanking on her name, but she's there for important scenes. She has, the funny part about, well, mending bones is easy, but growing them back, whatever that line is exactly. But again, she's kind of here and there to service other characters, which you'll hear me say a lot here. There's a bunch of characters on here that kind of fit that, but it works, and she's good, but she doesn't need to be anything more than that. Next up, we have maybe a controversial character, Bellatrix Lestrange, who honestly does probably the worst stuff in any of these movies, even before Voldemort, but still, I love her character. Yes, part of the reason is because it's Helena Bonham Carter, who originally wasn't supposed to be her. It was supposed to be Mrs. Malfoy over here, but then she was pregnant, or there's some story like that, and then she got cast later on, so it's okay. But Bellatrix Lestrange, cousin of Sirius Black, just totally evil person, but Helena Bonham Carter is so good as this character, and as much as you hate her, and I mean, that one scene in Deathly Hallows Part 1 is still one of the most, brutal things I've ever seen put on a movie, just from the sound alone from the amazing Emma Watson, but she is so good at this evil character who does so many bad things, but is still such a good character and always has this looming dark presence as the next to Voldemort, even though she really wants to do a lot of stuff. And she kills off some of my favorite characters, and I'm still saying this about her, so I think that says something. Next up, we go to Bill Weasley, Charlie Weasley, whatever you want to say. He's the oldest, I'm pretty sure, of the Weasleys. Not there, mentioned in the first ones, and then he comes back, marries Fleur, and then, really only plays a part in those last movies. So there's nothing really much to him, especially compared to the other Weasleys, but he's here, and he does what he's supposed to do. But again, compared to some of these other characters, he doesn't feel as important as them. Next up, we go to Cho, who I'm going to put in great, because there's so many key moments in Harry Potter that she is in, and maybe I'm placing her higher than other people would, but I really love her character. I love that she's kind of she catches Harry's eye, and that kind of never lets up, and it works really well with Cedric, who I assume we'll talk about soon. I don't even know the order of everybody on this. Okay, Cedric is on this. That would be very weird if he wasn't, but she's just a really good character, and kind of will disappear for a bit and then come back, and then disappear for a bit and come back, and has her moments. Even in Deathly Hallows Part 2, she's one of the first ones to stand out in front of Harry and stop the one girl from Slytherin down here is like, oh, just go get him, or whatever she says exactly. All right, next up we have this character. I don't really know why she's here. I just forgot to put her in the non-applicable part. So next up we go to Draco, who obviously is going to go in the favorites amongst Harry Potter. A lot of people would put him in the all-time. I'm not one of those people who was absolutely crazy obsessed with Draco when I was younger, just because I was always the one who liked all the good guys in the movies. It was like either your favorite character is either Harry or Draco when you're younger. And for me, it was always Harry, but I still love Draco. Amazing character arc and everything. I noticed again with these movies is that he really is prominent in the first three, and then 4 and 5, he's still there. He still has this presence, which is great because he is there, but he kind of goes off again. And then 6, he comes back full strong. His arc in that movie is phenomenal. And then even in the Deathly Hallows ones, especially number 2. Actually, no, I'm going to say number 1 as well. There still are so many key moments with him. He really could be an all-time favorite character, but for right now, I'm going to put him in favorite of Harry Potter. He would be at the front of this list if I was doing it as a ranking, which I always end up doing. And then we have Ginny here, who I am, of course, going to put as favorite, not only because she is, Harry's wife in the future, but she's one of those characters that she isn't just there to play off everybody else. She is there to be her own character, has great moments with other people, but still is such a strong character and has so many great moments in kind of unexpected moments and little things here and there, even in like Half-Blood Prince, where it's in, was it Three Broomsticks? Three Broomsticks. Okay, that would have got me killed in the Harry Potter community, where she's snogging and then Ron's looking, and that sounds like a scene where she's playing off somebody, but still she's an amazing individual character. The way she runs out in Deathly Hallows Part 1 to really go fight with Harry, and obviously she's a standout. She's been a standout since Chamber of Secrets, since she was the reason when she got possessed here. But anyway, we go up. Wait, is this? Oh, this is the what I call Colin ripoff. So we got Colin here, and then we got his ripoff, or what looks like him. They're basically the same character, except he's even worse. Like, Colin at least plays a part in the Chamber of Secrets. This kid, he's there for like a scene or two. And then we go into, I think we've doubled up on one, so I'm going to put that down there. Then we go up to Ollivanders, who is a very good character here, who has one of the biggest moments in the entire franchise when Harry first gives his wand, and still he's one of those characters that very quirky performance. You remember him right away, and you still, anytime the name is mentioned, you're like, oh yeah, I remember that guy. But it's truly this scene here in Deathly Hallows Part 2 that pushes him to be a very, very good character and great performance too. The name's iconic with Harry Potter. There's nothing really more I can say. And then we have, I think Goyle, Crabbe or Goyle. I'm pretty sure this is Goyle. So I'm going to put them side by side just because it feels right. Everything I said for Crabbe goes for Goyle. So nothing really more I can say there. And now we have Dobby. Of course, one of my favorites, top 5, maybe even top 3 saddest deaths of all time. I will never get over it, even though, again, I've seen it a million times. The first time I watched it, it hurt me. I mean, read it and then watched it, it hurt. And still, it's a painful scene that is just so beautiful. It's one of the most beautiful lines in the movie, but still going back all the way to, 6 movies before in Chamber of Secrets. Crucial here. One of the best endings when it comes to his ending, because that movie takes its time to end, that's for sure, but I still love it. I love all Harry Potter movies, obviously. Next up, we have Hagrid, who, again, it's kind of one of those things like Draco, is that he could easily be in an all-time favorite, because truly, I noticed on this rewatch, is like, he is one of the main reasons why the first one especially, and the second one, are so good. Without him, these movies would be nothing compared to what they are, and that could be said about a bunch of characters, but especially Hagrid in the first 2, especially number 1. It's just like, God, it's very sad that we lost him. I'm pretty sure it was last year, but just phenomenal performance and some of the best scenes in all of Harry Potter. Next up, we have this character, I forget her name. She's like the one that's spying on Harry in Order of the Phoenix, and sees him, don't put away your wand, they could be coming back, whatever, but she really only has a few moments here. She does have that funny moment on trial where she raises her hand as well, but nothing too crazy to make me put it up there. She has a few memorable scenes, but that's about it. Then we have this guy, Mr. Werewolf guy, the one that's feeding on her when she dies. I don't remember his name, kind of weird, but he's there. Next up, we have Cornelius Fudge, who is a very good character, one that you hate, but not in the same way as Umbridge, because you're like, we know he's back in Order of the Phoenix, but he will not kind of accept that. And it's tough when you watch it going, oh, you're such an idiot, but still the performance is great. He does exactly what he needs to do, and a very good character. I couldn't imagine a different Minister of Magic when it comes to the early years of Harry Potter and stuff like that. Next up, we have this guy who has a very specific way of talking, who's a decent character, but again, when he's found dead in halfway through, maybe just over halfway through, it's like, oh, yeah, he's gone. Anyway, nothing really more I could say. I forget his name. The most important thing about him is the way he speaks, and I think that says something. Now we go up to Sirius Black, who is in my top 3 favorite Harry Potter characters for years, was my favorite. Now he is at number 2. You will see who my actual favorite is somewhere on this list. Again, I don't know the order of it, and I just want to make sure that, yeah, okay, he is on this list, because maybe this person forgot random ones. And if they forgot characters, again, I did not make this list, but thank you to whoever made this. But Sirius Black, right from the moment he is truly introduced, in the Shrieking Shack, just a powerful character, and you see his connection with Lupin instantly, and within minutes, he's got this very strong, I would say father-like, but godfather-like connection, not the movie, but because he is his godfather. Very crucial scenes, and again, it's one of the saddest deaths I've ever seen. It pains me to defend Bellatrix Lestrange, but I'm not defending her actions, I'm defending her character. Truly, Gary Oldman gives one of my favorite performances by him, and Sirius, as I said, is a top 3 Harry Potter character for me. I don't know why I do this. I do this sometimes where I move them, but whatever. Next up, we have this guy. Oh my god, I'm totally blanking on his name, but he is the potions teacher in Half-Blood Prince, and he's also in the Deathly Hallows movies. It's late. I'm tired. I need to be up in like 4.5 hours to be in California, so that's going to be my excuse. But really, some quite amazing scenes in Half-Blood Prince really can go to this guy. Again, I find that movie still to be underappreciated, and a lot of the underappreciated scenes have to do with him being very scared and timid at first and kind of figuring stuff out on his own, but not figuring everything out. Great performance, really great character. Next up, we have Victor Crumb, who got to go on the good tier. Same kind of thing as Fleur. It's like he's there to be he's there to like serve everybody else, but it works. He's there to be the one that they all admire for Quidditch, and he's Quidditch. He's there to be Hermione's date, and he's there to participate in the Triwizard Tournament, I should say, for the Triwizard Cup in the Triwizard Tournament. So there's my terminology correct. Really good performance, but again, he's there for one movie. One of the lead characters, so pretty fun, but nothing compared to some of the ones up here. Then we go up to Mrs. Malfoy, as I called her earlier. Again, very good character, really only comes into play later on, but still has very memorable moments. Not as impactful as Lucius or Draco, but still a solid character overall. And again, as I said, this whole kind of casting thing between these two is quite interesting. And speaking of Goblet of Fire, we have one character who suffers more than most characters in Harry Potter somehow with the death of his son, which provides one of the greatest like reaction death scenes, as you could call it, I guess, of all time. Truly an amazing performance, but again, one movie, one and done type thing, but it makes sense. So I think it works. Really great performance, but one movie down. And next up we have Mrs. Sprout, who's got to go in good. Again, she actually, I'm going to put her, she could kind of go between these two. I'm going to put her in the meh just because I was going to put her good because she has a great scene in Chamber of Secrets, but then again, that's really it. She's mentioned in Half-Blood Prince. She's there for like the dining scenes and stuff like that, but she's not really crucial besides Chamber of Secrets. She saves a bunch of people, but still nothing absolutely insane on screen here for her. Then we have the aunt, who is, awful and terrible person, but creates one of the funniest and most entertaining non-full magic Harry Potter scene. No wands or anything included here, but one and done type thing, as I've mentioned a few times here. And then we have the kind of grumpy elf, Creature, that's his name, Creature. Okay, I had to look that up, as you could see, but Creature, I never knew it was spelled like that, but that's actually funny. I was going to put him in meh, but I think I have to move him up to good, especially looking at some of the other characters like him and, actually, no, well, that's a bad example, but, characters like that who are important when it comes to Deathly Hallows Part 1 and still has very funny moments to himself, and he's actually probably saying some pretty bad stuff, and when you can make out what he's saying, it's quite entertaining, and he's got a funny design, so he's interesting to look at. Next up, we have the second minister, or really, is he technically the second or third? Whatever, the other minister, and Deathly Hallows Part 1 opens on a very close shot of his eyes, but again, he's there for that movie. He's there to be the other minister. He has one scene that I really only noticed this time where it's like the most obvious way of like them being, hey, by the way, he's the minister, where he shows up to the Weasleys right before the wedding, and one of the Weasley brothers goes, why is the minister here? Or whatever, Minister of Magic here, like very obviously, like, why is the Minister of Magic here? And then Harry sees him and he's like, oh, minister. Like they make it very clear, oh, he is the minister. If you didn't already know, when it came to like Fudge, it was kind of more obvious wherever he is. And then next up, you can't really have one without the other. Obviously, you know who I'm talking about, Fred and George. There's no point to talk about them individually because not even their mother knows them apart, but still some amazing scenes. Actually, I should be able to tell them apart here because this would be Fred and this would be George, because I'm pretty sure George is the one that gets hit by something, spell of some sorts in Deathly Hallows Part 1 and gets that cut and gets one of the best comedic lines out of Harry Potter. Morning, after he watches his sister and Harry kiss for a little bit, which is funny but odd. They provide some of the best, if not the funniest scenes in all of Harry Potter. They really are creative, and probably the most creative characters really in all of Harry Potter. Fan favorites for a reason. They're awesome. I can't quite put them in the favorite one, but they are close to there. Next up, we have Cedric Diggory, who again is a great character. Almost could be put in the favorite one, but again, he is in one movie, so if somehow he could be in the other ones, he might be, but there's a reason why he's only in one movie. He has, it seems to be a common thing, but another one of the most tragic deaths in all of Harry Potter, which leads to one of, if not my favorite scene in the entire franchise, which is obviously the showdown. Robert Pattinson before Twilight, great performance there. I really should have thought of this performance when I was not a fan of the casting of the Batman, but obviously I was proven very wrong with that being one of my favorite movies ever. But he's in Goblet of Fire. Goblet of Fire is one of my favorites, so how could I hate him here? Next up, we go to Voldemort, one of the greatest villains of all time. There's nothing more I can really say that hasn't already been said. Ralph Fiennes' performance, Fiennes, however you say it, I should really say Fiend, is amazing and truly brilliant. That Voldemort as a character, as every single person on this earth who's watched or read Harry Potter has probably said, is that he has this looming presence even from the starting, just by being he who shall not be named, all the way through to the end. Brilliant scenes, as I said. Takes part in probably my favorite scene in the entire franchise. This is one of the two. One of the other contestants, you guys can guess down below and I'll tell you if you are correct, but it's Voldemort. Do I really have to say anything more? Next up, we have Grip Hook, who is a good character. He makes the second part of this kind of section. We got a lot of very good characters here, and plays a very good part in Deathly Hallows part, which one is that? That is part 2. And that's an amazing, brilliant scene. But again, he really is only important in the movie in that specific scene. So nothing crazy here. I would say same goes for this guy, but he is in a bunch of them, being one of the guys in the order. Has kind of some nice one-liners here and there. But when it comes to some of the other ones, which we get more character development with Sirius and Lupin and the Weasleys and stuff, he still is a memorable character. The costume design is really great as well. And again, some funny moments here and there. And we have the Dudleys, who obviously, you know, I could throw them all three of them on here. And it's nice that they're lined up like that. But they're all very well written, good evil characters who are not truly as evil as somebody like Umbridge or some of the other higher upper ones, I think I just said. But anyway, they're nobody's favorite because you kind of have to hate them, but you see this evil side that plays into the nice dynamic with Harry. So there's nothing too crazy I have to say about them, but there's a reason why they're in these movies, and anytime they're in it, it's entertaining, even if it kind of hurts you a little bit. And then next up, we have the parents of Harry and Lily, or actually, there we go, Lily and James Potter. It made me feel special when I was younger because my middle name is James, and to know that Harry's middle name is James because that's his dad's name. It's nice like that when you can find a connection when you're, you know, this was like 10 years ago when I started reading Harry Potter, so it's a nice connection there. Very good characters. Obviously, some of, if not the most important characters here besides Harry. The reason why everything went down is because of them, especially Lily. And, you know, it's weird that I don't have more to say about them because they are so important. And anytime they're in the movies, especially in Goblet of Fire, and just that brilliant moment in Philosopher's Stone, because yes, it is called Philosopher's Stone. Hope that didn't peak the microphone there. Just absolute beautiful moments, heartwarming moments, but they're not there as much as these other characters, obviously, because they are not alive. Next up, we have Dean, who's a very good character. As I mentioned before, that scene with Ginny plays into it nicely, has his moments here and there. I'd actually like to place and grab him from here, Seamus, because I believe that these two, kind of my opinion of the two is quite similar, although, he has that running gag that is mentioned later on where everything blows up in his face as my cat starts talking. Let's see if she's probably going to jump right up there if I don't pay attention to her. But these are two great supporting characters. They're nothing more than that, but they don't need to be, so it's totally okay with me. And then we have Lockhart here. We have Kenneth Branagh himself, who, provides his Shakespearean chops, but still in a nice way that fits Harry Potter. A charming character to especially all the girls, the young girls in this movie, but still is so entertaining every single time he is on screen. So I really love his character. I know people could probably get annoyed with it, but that's kind of the point, so it's okay. Next up, we have Lucius Malfoy, who, it's difficult to choose between these two, but really I think he would be a favorite amongst the evil side of Harry Potter, because yes, you do hate him, but the performance by Jason Isaacs is phenomenal, and really his arc, you see him so strongly earlier on, and then he's not so much there for the fourth one, and then by number 5, he's there at the end of 4, actually, I shouldn't say that. And by 5, you can tell he's like really bad, but even just visually with the facial hair and the Deathly Hallows, like you can tell this guy is really having a rough time with Voldemort being back for good reason, and it works in the favor. Jason Isaacs is amazing as this character. I would definitely consider him one of my favorite Harry Potter characters. Okay, I am now over 40 minutes of recording. I don't know when this will be, but it'll probably be over half an hour. So we got about 5 minutes to talk about the rest of these characters. That's okay. We will fly through some of them. We have the two Weasleys, who obviously the parent Weasleys, who have to go on the great tier. Very big standout moments for Mr. Weasley. Right from the get-go, what is the function of a rubber duck? Just stuff like that, or I don't remember the line exactly, but something like that. And then probably the sweetest one in all of Harry Potter, Mrs. Weasley. They're great parents, still have some great crucial emotional moments, and they play off every other character really nicely. That's something I noticed on the last watch. Now we have the man himself, Harry Potter, one of the greatest characters of all time. Do I really have to say more now? Okay, well, I will. Really an inspiration for me when I was younger to be like, yeah, I want to be him. People always, when they're younger, pick these characters. I always wanted to be Harry Potter or Batman, so I think that kind of says enough. The performance is just phenomenal, one of the best arcs of all time. I don't really think I have to say more. Then we have Neville, who, I'm gonna put him on great, but he could like almost go on favorite. You know what, fuck it, we're putting him on favorite. Neville, iconic. Why is it always me? He's important in every single one of the movies. He has another really great arc, which really comes into play in Order of the Phoenix. I love Neville. Everybody loves Neville. He is one of the reasons why they win in the end. There's a few characters here which I don't have much to say about, so I'm just going to fly through. But for that, we have Tonks, who is, I'm going to say a really good character. I was almost going to put her on great because it does feel kind of important to put some of these ones in the order on great. And there, my cat goes up there. Let's see if she tries to rip something, but I'm going to put her on good just because she isn't there for like the first half, and there are moments where I kind of forget she's there, but that shot of her and Lupin in Deathly Hallows Part 2 is so sad but so beautiful. Next up, we have Oliver Wood. Good character. He's there for the start of Quidditch. Nothing really more than that, but good character. Next up, we have Peter Pettigrew, who is a very, very good character. Not good enough to put him on great, just because he is a rat for some of them, like an actual physical rat. Obviously, Scabbers, but one of the most important characters in all of Harry Potter, and really the reason why Lord Voldemort comes in there. So I should really put him in the lowest one, but great performance, this evil, slimy performance. Oh my god, I hate this character so much, but she does a good job of what she has to do. She's one of the most hateable characters. Actually, she gets the Umbridge tier. Yep, she gets the Umbridge tier, because I don't want to talk about Rita Skeeter. Then we have Ron here. Classic. you know, really there's these three, and they're three of the best characters ever. And Ron is really, you know, he's angry a lot of the time, angsty, but it works. And then, you know, we have sibling. Actually, I don't really know why I have him on here. I'm head boy. You know, we see that he is by far the best of the Weasleys without question. And then we have this character, I forget what her name is, but she's the one that tries to seduce Harry. Then we have, you know, some other characters here, which I'm just going to throw in the mat here. Nothing too crazy about them. I'm just running out of time. I have a minute left on the camera, but trying going through it quickly. Yeah, fun, you know, plays a part in kind of the middle of the franchise. Good parent, I guess, but also a little bit crazy, but that's what makes him fun. And an interesting story, but again, one that only plays into Goblet of Fire. And finally, we have my favorite Harry Potter character, Severus Snape. I got about 20 seconds to talk about this, but I love Snape. Snape has always been one that's been one of my favorites, and after watching it again, it really confirms it. His story is beautiful, and you can tell right from the get-go he knows more than other people, and the way that Alan Rickman portrayed that is beautiful. He is fantastic. But let me know your ranking of all the Harry Potter characters in the comments down below. I'll hopefully make more videos soon. I'm going to California, so Harry Potter stuff there. Thank you all for watching. I will see you guys next time. Over and out.